Three, two, one. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to today's shows. Today we have Konstantin Lomashuk, a prominent figure in the crypto investment landscape. He is the co-founder of CyberFund, one of the leading investors in crypto, and also one of the founders of Lido. Nice to have you.
Happy to meet you, Casper.
So, Konstantin, as someone who has been in the crypto landscape for quite a while, you've been doing a lot of angel investing and venture investing. How has that landscape been changing over the past few years, especially with angel investing now, getting more of a reputation of free money?
Yeah, thank you. Good question. Back in 2014, when I started in blockchain space, in general, the market was much smaller. Of course, it was about all the valuation of all crypto market. It was about $15 billion. So it was, in general, what we did as a cyber fund, we did a first report about crypto assets, because people, what they did, they in general, I know, look only on Bitcoin, back then. And what we tried to do in general, coin market cap already exists. And so we took data from coin market cap, put it in the Google table and tried to understand, what is a market, how we can call market participants. We split them to DAOs. In general, we call DAO, now it's a little bit different meaning, but we call DAOs real decentralized autonomous organization. It was blockchains like Ethereum, Bitcoin, and so on. And we called applications dApps, like that built on top of it. And it was about 80 blockchains and or like 84 and 16 applications. And what we came with, we came out with a thesis that it's a new asset class. And what was really more easy for us back then, the market was really small. It was not a lot of offering, and what we could do in general, when new white paper were presented, for example, Ethereum, you can reach the team, you can in general allocate capital, and valuation was much lower. And now, of course, the market changed. We have much more offering, and back then, our bet was, so we were thesis driven, that the market will grow, in general, Bitcoin dominance will drop. Why? Because Bitcoin is a good example, but you can compute in Bitcoin. And in general, it's how to say, thesis around super conservative, people don't want to change Bitcoin to make experiments. And so our idea was that it will be more innovations, that it's not only Bitcoin viable, it will be a lot of others. And in general, we start to invest in this sector. That's why we invested in Ethereum, Cosmos, Definity, Polkadot. But I'm originally from Kaliningrad. Kaliningrad is a small city in Russia. It's in general doesn't have any borders with Russia, but it's in Baltic Sea. And for me, the person who was born there, to invest in the best opportunities over, last 10 years, it was impossible. All such investments happened before blockchain and before ICO. All of them happened in general in Silicon Valley, or money were raised from funds. And what in general blockchain give access to people like me and a lot of other, to in general invest in this new asset class. Now, I think that we will have a renaissance of it, we will see new platforms like Echo, like Legend, in general, that we introduce, because, the ICO as a, how to say, as a mechanic is not bad, but, it's still education of the market, how the market can understand, can they invest, in that project or not? Is it restricted in your legal space, or it is for example, people that you can trust, so you need to create a special software, so you can regulate by government, or you can regulate by technology. And I think it's a lot of opportunities. And if you speak about especially angels, like I was in 2014, I think it's still a lot of opportunities. Like first of all, you have investment clubs or funds like Metropolis, like Lao, and there are a lot of others examples. Like where people all over the world are join as a group of people and start to invest together. Like I was one of the like first participant of Venture DAO and some other like such clubs. And in general are still part of them, and like Meta Cartel and other. And I think it's first of all community driven. People are from different countries. They communicate in Discord. And second, I think you can reach the project. You can help the project. The question is how, in general, to understand that this project is good. But you always have an opportunity, like to find a way how to invest in these projects, like because what I did from 2014, I just reached these teams, like I send them message like through the Twitter, or like try to find an intro, or like do something else. And in general, has an opportunity to invest in all like public sales, or like it was then like private sales, like and then like seed stage, like startups like or Aguilar or some other. And it's all, how to say, you need to contribute to your reputation by investing in good projects, like, but if you're only starting to do it, like you still have this opportunity. You just need to, in general, consistently research, find good projects, participate and help, and then you will be successful.
You've mentioned real quickly that you went, from CEO investing to then seed investments. Now, doing more. Now the structure has kind of changed, where crypto is now more regulated, and you see platforms like Echo.xyz pop up. Do you think that angel investing platforms like that will start taking over the meta, and basically that will be the way forward to raise funds from a group of small investors like a syndicate? Or do you expect ICOs, IDOs, or something similar like that to pop up again, or to rival Echo, really?
Like I don't, first of all, I don't differentiate like ICO, IDO platforms like Legend from Echo, like why? Because for me, it is a difference because, like in general, Echo is aggregating, like some angels, like to invest in some, but still, like what you want in general, what project want, the project want to raise. And project want to raise all from funds or from angels. And for projects, sometimes, like benefits when you have a lot of angels, then they can in general share your narrative to their Twitter, or like they can help you like with some like other things, like, and it is a lot of projects who like, for example, even to raise their first round from angels, because they in general have more people and more people community. So they can build communities in general by onboarding with 100 first angels. And such platform in general optimize it, like, Kobe and Jordan is my good friend, or like, in general, like Telegram friend, like, or like Twitter friend, like, so, and in general, he has, because he also participated as me, like as an angel, like in a lot of deals, he just tried to make automatization for these things, and it's 100% makes sense, like, and we will see more such type of platforms, and I'm sure that a lot of projects want to raise. Why? Because for projects, if you look from other side, it's also really hard to, in general, just to sign everyone. If it's 100 people, like you need to check, are they a professional investor? Can they invest? So you need to structure it. In general, you need to coordinate all of that. And if you have a tool for it, it's beneficial for all of them. It's beneficial for, like our angels, and it's beneficial for the projects. And I think these platforms will only like evolve. And it's the same with ICO, like, for example, I am an investor in Legion project, like, and they are building like ICO platform by MiCA regulation. And I really believe that I mean, it's open, like a new wave. First of all, you can, by introducing this tool, also create a like public regulation. Because, for example, one of the issues that market, it was like scammers or like some other participant who was not good, and in general they raised capital for the ideas that was not make sense. But in general, by introducing community review or like on-chain reputation, you can lower their, how to say, grow the barrier, like, and in general make it more complex to raise for people who are not legit, like. And if you will introduce, for example, reputation of the different funds, and they can sign even like a digital identity, like a transaction, and prove that they invested in this already, like good projects, like it can in general make it more accessible for people all over the world. Doesn't matter where they are, to be the same good investor as all these VCs, like, yeah.
No, totally get that. Totally get that. You talk a lot about, when you invest into these projects at at an early stage. On the only episode you did like a year or two ago, that you mainly invest in the teams itself, and that you spend a lot of time trying to find good teams and then invest in them. But what are some of the qualities that you are looking for when like trying to find a good team, and also how do you deal with when you invest in a team, that they kind of, that they aren't really who you thought that they were, that they either like gave you a wrong impression, not with malicious intent, maybe, just by accident, or if they switch teams or well, switch visions, and, focus on a totally different project. How do you deal with that?
Like for me, I mean, and when you invest in a project, it's like, I mean, it's a partnership, like, and in a world, you have a different type of partnership. When you have like your, for example, partner by your family, like you're choose a person, like with who you want to be, like. Then when you like, and I use the same pattern, like in our startups, like in general, I try to invest with people to people who has the same values as me, like in general, like this early days or like crypto, like and blockchain value. People want to in general build open source project, like that in general they want to contribute to humanity. They in general are kind, and they not just make money, like, and creating like some type of business model. So I try to in general like figure out, or I mean, their competence and how, and if we aligned, like it's also important that they have some good idea, like good narrative that they want to build, like. And so both when you have a good narrative and good team, that is and of course sometimes you have red flags, like sometimes if the person run a lot of different projects at the same time, but I also like such person. So I try to say that I'm a serial entrepreneur, and this is what I'm good in, but it's also my problem, like, and of course it's how to say a red flag, like, so you need to in general understand how like to work with serial entrepreneurs, and because it's really also hard to do like and focus on many things in the same moment. And I mean, what you in general, like it's a lot of investments that I did where I want to be like a friend with these people, like they're kind, they're good, they're great. And I think that like I don't worry if I, for example, if the values are not aligned, like it's a great idea, and for example I don't want to invest because of that. So, and maybe like this project can be big, but for example these people are greedy or like some other, or has some other problems, like not aligned values. So it means that it's not our deal, because in general now CyberFund is a thesis driven, so we have a thesis of like cybernetic economy. And what cybernetic economy means, that in general we believe that economy will be more and more efficient for people, like, because before we were in capitalistic world and now we live in like capitalistic world, and it's not bad, I think it's the best world, like, but it's not efficient, like, so some people got much more than others, but and sometimes it's unfair, like, and what we will, and also like we have a lot of inefficiency in our like capital markets in capital world, and but with more technology, with more like data, with more like blockchain is the open market, like our foundation for open market, we will get more and more efficient markets, like, and so when we look on our projects, in new projects, we first of all look, okay, is it aligned with our vision? Because for us, we are also not only invest, we also giving grants, like, so we can just give a grant to the project. Then we are okay, like, I mean, who are the founders, and we try to talk with them always, like, and figure out, and in general you have intuition or like a feeling, you can have some check of the background, and then you make a decision, like, to partner with them, like, and in general help them to find, usually invest on a zero stage, 0 to 1. This is where we're the best, because we are founders, we build project by our hands, and we understand how it's painful. We did a lot of mistakes, and what we are always happy is in general share this mistake and help, like, to go through this together.
This 0 to 1 stage, because I was looking at your portfolio companies, and there were a lot of prominent names. What made you decide to invest in Extend then? Because I think you joined in the second round when like the testnet was almost done. So what was for you the trigger, to basically ape an entire round to yourself?
Yeah, first of all, like, I think that the biggest issue in crypto is UX, like, and in general, when I try to build my some type of application, like, I always thought that, like, why we don't have a network effect, why we still don't have 1 billion people, because it's impossible to use it. When you want to buy like the NFT, I don't know, like, if it is not on Ethereum, like, you need to make 10 clicks, like, to use some bridge to some exchange. So it's super hard. You spend hours, like, just to buy this NFT, like, and it is complex. Why? Because in general, we're in such stage when infrastructure were not built. And now we are almost here where, and also, like, I mean, blockchain bring you a lot of benefits. In general, it's make your, how to say, it's make your like communication and coordination more efficient. And what you try to say is that when you do a transaction cost is a price. For example, if you change something on centralized exchange, you already, in this transaction, you have a transaction cost of security, for example, if this exchange will not. And use blockchain, like, I mean, of course, the fees were high, like, it's one issue for us, but in general, long term, when the fees will be zero, because we will scale computation, and also, like, you will get the same UX and UI as a centralized exchange. You will get the benefits because it's more secure for you, like, and that's why I invest in Extend, because Extend, first of all, had a team of people who already build consumer products, like, and generally work in Revolut, like, and can build such UX that is not further than on centralized exchange with the security of blockchain. And I think it's inevitable that all the like main changes will work on such technologies. Why? Because if I will have the same liquidity, and I mean, like, there's a lot of arbitrageurs and market makers who can bring like this liquidity to the place where you want to buy, so it will work better and better, then I will choose definitely the place where I will have the lower risk.
So for you, it was basically like, you think it's like roughly the right time, for decentralized exchanges to start gaining more dominance. Well, we've already seen it, but maybe over 50%. Now that we finally have the backend and the computational power to run an exchange on chain, you were just looking for like the people that can build like a good UX on top of it. Was that then basically the thesis, or did I get that wrong?
I think that like, first of all, you need to build the right from technology perspective, because it's a lot of option. Second, you need to know how to onboard users, and in general build all other part on ramp, like, in general fix or find out how to build regulation. And the third one, like, I mean, to find product market fit, so you need to have a right team who in general find. But what was my also like intention, because I have this problem, like, so I love to invest in things that I feel by myself. For example, when I want to exchange something, I'm like, as a company, you already use some like brokers or like some other companies, or you're going to the most liquid place to execute your transactions. And what I would want to do in general, I would want to like use more secure exchange than current exchanges like Coinbase, Binance, and other, because they have significant risks and they're bigger than the risks they have. And these risks are happening, like last cycle we lose FTX. Who will be in this cycle? We don't know, but it will be someone, like it's usually what happened every like 2 to 4 years. And in general, we have technologies how to escape it. And also, I mean, it was, how to say, not impossible, but it was not good solutions or like infrastructure to build it before. And now it's a good time, and also like I mean, good team, and everybody need it. Yeah.
Do you think that trading terminals like Architect are going to help push forward adoption for decentralized exchanges, or do you think they won't really have an effect at all?
I think that terminals and aggregators also like solve part of the issue. Like they aggregate I mean, the volume. And for me, like I mean, the question is where will be like the real, how to say, order flow, like, because market makers, they also like try to make it slower, like, and for example now, like what they do, they use, for example, because some of them are, or when they trade on purpose, they don't have own liquidity. What they do, they like provide you, so in general they provide USDT and USDC, yes, and they're on exchange. Before they did it on exchange, and it was a risk that if exchange will collapse, they will lose this money, like. And but now how they fix it for like large market makers, in general, it's held by some type of banks or like third parties, like, or multi-sigs, like, and so they mitigate the risk if the exchange will collapse, that they will got their collateral. And this in general help a lot for market makers to feel safe, because they can lose all the money, like, and they need to provide liquidity. And in this case, they can be more secure, because all this money can be withdrawn in any moment if it's on blockchain. And I think that really like bring a lot of value.
I know, I agree. They're pretty good for that. I think it also will help a lot with just the fractionalization of all the liquidity that's currently happening. Like on Ethereum, you, for example, have 100 different perp dexes these days. You just want to execute at the best price. So if you can, get it from one terminal versus going through 100 different websites, it will become a lot easier.
Like when I ask, yeah, of course, like I think that terminal also like will give you like a lot of like adoption, but it's more for retail users. But you still need the question, where for market maker, will be like the best transactional cost, like, and when you look on, like on current DEX market, like it's still on its infancy, like when you look on perps and what I like in Xtend, like when I spoke with Ruslan, he said, we'll do Xtend better, everything, like, so our UI, like our other like performance will be like Xtend better. And they focus on it, like then in general design their, like exchange to make it, like really like Xtend better.
Do you think there are like any edges that decentralized exchanges could leverage more over centralized exchanges at the moment?
Can you repeat the question?
Is there like an edge that decentralized perpetual exchanges aren't really utilizing properly yet, that you see that centralized exchanges cannot?
I think, like the first point, it is like security of your like liquidity, like that is their biggest advantage, like in case of success. Yeah, and then like you can try to like grow some other benefits. But what I try to say is that current dexes are much worse than success, because the user experience features, like another is like different, like. And this is a market, like, and the long term, like it is like an opportunity for some company, for one of the company like Extend in general, to capture that market. It's not only about perps, it's also about spot and future, like. And I think that for people will be like much more convenient to utilize some technologies that is in general don't hold custody risk.
Yeah, no, I get your point. Yeah. Do you think, by the way, that because you've been focused on angel investing and the CyberFund for quite a while, and you've seen we've talked a little bit about market makers, we talked a little bit about venture funds, but lately like we've seen liquid funds gaining more attention. Do you see like any evolution in the way that these funds are being run, or are they just now getting more popular because the market is ready for it?
Yeah, like how I usually, when people ask me about, like trading, I always tell the story that I had only two friends in general, like in general, not friends, but people who I know, like who was good in trading. One was like Suzu from like Three Arrows, and another was like Sam from FTX, like. And what right?
You don't have the best friends, I think.
Yeah, like, so for me, like, and I thought maybe they're smart and they can make money, like on top of it. So I really like, not, I believe that you can do some like good return long term on some like math models, like market making, or like arbitrage, or like some other, or like you can do with long-term investments. Like, for example, we also have a liquid department in CyberFund, but like it is zero people working there. Why we never sell it? Like, because in general we understand that we are not good in it. Like it's better just to hold there. And for me, like I also don't know really good traders. Like are really who long-term survived. And that's why for me about liquid and hedge funds, I think it's still a big opportunity. Why? Because it's a lot of good liquid assets right now in the market. But it's still for me not about trading. It's more about, like look on metrics, be data driven, like, and choose the best assets, buy and hold, like that's what I can really like understand, or like use some models that in general like not depend from the market, produce you like some money, like by algorithms, or like arbitrage, or some other like market neutral strategies.
No. You mentioned real quickly that you still have a liquid fund at CyberFund. Is that still where your Ethereum ICO bags and 10 times more is, or is that somewhere else?
Yeah. So first of all, like CyberFund is fully private company. It's no any LPs, and it is also like it is some like Ether, and also like other like projects that we invested, like Solana and many others, like. And how it happens that when we invest from VC, like portfolio, when the assets start to be liquid, we move it to liquid portfolio. And the question is, like we are not doing with that a lot, because we are not traders. We can in general do some rebalance, like if one asset is grow too much to another, and if it's our decision to like rebalance long term, then we can do it. But we are not also we are staking our assets, because like we have a company called P2P.org, like in general we were contributors to Lido. Of course we look at secure. be really like careful participate in DeFi, like, but not, we are not do farming. Maybe we like did a little bit before, but like, it is, but why? Because it has a lot of risk, like, and we are super conservative, and that's why, like, it's all on cold storages, and yeah, so like, and that's why, like, we are not, I mean, like, so participating almost in liquid market, only like are just holding the assets.
And like you mentioned before, like you also invested in Solana, etc. But what's like you were talking about like rebalancing the portfolio, etc. But there are also moments where you just have to decide, like, hey, I think like the top of the project has kind of been reached. Maybe it's time to to sell a liquid bag. Is there like some kind of like mental framework that you go through, because you're still holding your Ethereum, but I would be surprised if you still hold your Polkadot.
Yeah, I mean, good question. If I do, I hold Polkadots? Yes, I hold. And the question, and like, but I mean, why? Like, first of all, I think that I mean, because we have a lot of operational business, like that in general, we contribute a lot of my time personally. We don't, like, maybe we are good holders because we don't have time to trade to liquidate. And also, if you look at Sequoia report, if they would never sell, they would build much more, like return. And so for us, I mean, first of all, we are mission driven, like, and I mean, our goal is to build cybernetic economy, and that's why we are ready to give grants. In general, we are ready to miss deals, like to not invest in some great deals and still help them, like. And just couple examples, or and not even couple, many examples where we help, like project was successful, and we not worried that we miss the deal, like, because it's too many deals in the market. But what is important that, like, it contribute to our thesis and mission. And for us, like, it was some liquidations, I can tell you. So we liquidated some positions. In general, yeah, also like we can, but usually it's reasons for it, like, first of all, one of the reason it is, for example, that we don't believe in the project, like, it can be like, for example, you invested and you will wrong about the values, like, and it was one project, and in generally what we did, we came to the company and said, guys, like, we don't want to in general continue our partnership. If you see good OTC deal, or like we are ready to sell you, like, or like the cost, like, when you will be ready, but we are not ready to contribute. Why? Because in general, they decentralized networks start to build, for example, centralized network, and it's not aligned with our like values, like how they did it and what they did it. And we openly spoken with founders, like, sometimes if we see that we don't, for example, see that the product will develop, or like in general it's take all the capacity, we also can rebalance to ETH, for example, like, that's how we grow our ETH. But for a lot of projects, we are just holding, like, and do nothing, like Cosmos, like from ICO, Polkadot, like some other projects from early days, like we are still holding. Sometimes they don't give you big return, like, but you still like see. I mean, all of them has great teams, like, and in general build a great tech. Maybe didn't found the product market.
Yeah, no, those are good points. Those are good points. I'm trying to find what follow-up question I need to ask, but would maybe ask, like, as someone who has done so much investing already in this space in such a crazy area that it's been for the last 10 years. What has been like your biggest regret of not taking a chance with like an investment, or maybe starting a new protocol that you thought was maybe gonna be cool, but then regretted it later that you didn't start it? Is there any story like that?
Or I think, like, it is definitely, I don't remember because maybe I'm too optimistic, and it's also like maybe a problem to be in crypto too optimistic, like, and for me, like, definitely it was some projects that maybe I didn't make action, or like didn't write a message in the right time, or like didn't invest, but still, if they are successful, I'm happy, like, because I mean, you can't invest in everything, like, especially if it was, for example, people who didn't have the same values, like, and we didn't invest by that reason, and they were successful. For me, it's not a problem, like, it's their way, and if they're successful, I'm also happy. But if it was, for example, a good idea, it was, I remember one project, like, for example, they want to build like something like crypto AI stuff, like, and the team was everything, like, and we just didn't do our job to, in general, speak with them in the right time, like, and they're building something like super interesting, like, product. So of course I'm really like, I would be happy to contribute. Why? But because I'm super interested in what they're building, like, so. And for me, and I also knew that they're a good project, like, and like, and for example, I didn't have a chance. Or for example, I can tell you a story when Curve, like, publish a white paper and launch Curve, like, in general, or like send a message to Michael, like, the first day, because in general we invested in his project, like, we also helped him back then in the US, like, when he has some, and like, in general, we invested in New Cipher before working in New Cipher, and in general we try to help him a lot. And by some reason, like, we didn't got allocation in his project, like, it was the reason. In general, he didn't raise, like, but in general, when I read the white paper, like, I understood, because he optimized his, like, IMF for stable coins, and it was innovations that bring in general efficiency for some type of the tokens. I immediately understood that this can be huge, like, and I immediately react. And of course, if you don't have an option to invest, you're, for example, but you knew that it's a good project, you can be a little bit, not happy. But in general, I'm super happy that Michael was successful, like, later, and and we, like, also communicating with him a lot.
No, I get that. I get that. This is maybe going to be a question you cannot answer, or are not willing to answer. But what is your opinion of the protocol founder selling their tokens versus lending money against it?
First of all, like, I think that people, I mean, like, need to do what they want, like, and for me, like, user question when they do it, of course, because if they, like, just launch a startup and start to sold, like, their equity, it also can be a reason, first of all, for it, like, sometimes it can be a reason because you need to raise more capital, and in general, or like, but then money will go into the company, or like, you have some problems, like, it's also can be such situation. But of course, like, if they just, like, make money, like, immediately and quit in the market, it's bad, like, current signal, like, and but if they build a product market fit, like, and like, and they are selling their tokens, like, it's not a problem. Why? Because you, first of all, don't know where they spend, and to be a founder in crypto is super dangerous. You need to have, like, it's super dangerous from regulation. It's like, because you have a lot of smart contracts risk and other, like, security risk. And I think that all those people who are legit and who are building long term, they are definitely heroes. Like, why? Because they took all this risk, and a lot of them already make a lot of money, and they keep building every day. Like, they're not like on Bahamas, or, like, I don't know where they are, and they keep building, like, every day. Like, and why? Because in general they want to make this place better. They want to, in general, deliver the vision, and they really believe that. I mean, that's the best what they can do now. Because for me, when I joined crypto, like, from 2014, I work in days, nights, and I'm a happy person. Like, why? Because I do what I love, and this is important. Like, I mean. So my work is my hobby, and I really love it.
You quickly mentioned that, like, regulation, etc., is kind of a danger to crypto founders as well. And we've like in 2019, it was kind of a trend that everyone who was founding a DeFi protocol was doing it through an anonymous account, doing using an anonymous name. And now that kind of has a little bit shifted. Like, yeah, we have a lot of pseudo-anonymous characters. We have fully doxed people. We have fully anon people. Do you think we will see like more and more doxed people getting out there? Because back in the day, regulation was kind of a little bit 50-50, and also in case that your DeFi protocol got hacked, which most of the time back in the day was just like a fun little experiment, they didn't want to hold the risks of that, or what's your view on that?
Yeah, like when I start to work in crypto, it was a lot of anonymous guys, and they first of all, I really like things that privacy is important, and it's not bad to be like private, but a lot of these guys are people who were private, like they raise capital, and when they raise capital, they take obligations or like responsibility,
Yeah.
and it was a lot of scammers between of them, and I also like invest in some cool ideas that was in general scams, and I got my own experience, and even it was like sometimes really hard because they built some really ambitious ideas to recognize that they're scammers. And I think that if you're like, for example, raising from retail, or like if you're like raising from people who are maybe like not knowledge, you in general all need to build like, and people who invest, in such projects, all they really need to trust this identity, like that can be private, like for example, this person contribute already a lot. All they need like to invest in people who already like are doxing, and in general, because regulation is not bad. It's a question that we don't have regulation, and in general, it's in a bad way. So, what we need in general facilitate the regulation, and there are also even maybe like build the technology regulation, community regulation. Why? Because it's really a lot of people who in general make our market bad, like the same about meme coins. It's a lot of gambling and scams, it's not a market, and it's not how to say, people are creating tokens in general, generate value from like people who won't gamble on it, and for me, I don't position should be it regulated or not, particular like launch, but it's definitely like not build the type of want to work or invest or like to facilitate to grow.
No. I get what you mean. You were talking a little bit about like the lack of regulation, but I also think like even if we build regulation and we have like a pretty solid framework right now, depending on where you live, like I live in Europe and in Brussels specifically, like regulation here is so slow. By the time that we need to update the law, it should have already been updated like 3 different times. And like the European Union in its current state can simply not keep up with blockchain technology or technology in general. Like even now, if you're looking at MiCA 2 or like 2, I go to some events over here, but I'm going to be honest, all of these people that are making these rules or deciding for us have never used a blockchain before. And most of the time you can even see who is paid and who is not paid, because some of them are just going to go purely on the anti-money laundering stuff and the KYC, etc., even if it's coming from a centralized exchange like Coinbase. Well, you have others that are a little bit more open-minded, but I'm pro-regulation, but the thing is, I don't trust our regulators to understand the product good enough to build proper regulations so that we can actually build something. Because I feel like, currently in Europe, if you're going to build a company in crypto, like within like 3-4 years, you're going to hit a wall of you not being allowed to do something, or they change their laws, or there's something with the AML or banks, etc. that is screwing you up.
I definitely agree with you. But also it doesn't mean that you need to create all regulation in one day. But what do you need? You need a clarity. For example, let's for example, I was in Hong Kong, and we discussed with regulation, and their particular position was okay. For them, what was important? Okay, let's regulate what is the most clear? Stable coins, super clear market, like exchanges, some other like centralized, like companies, and that work with blockchains. Can they create regulations? Or yes, and it can be even good, like. And in general, you can use the stable coins, move from fiat to like crypto faster, and I think you can create a lot of adoption through it. And do they care about DeFi? Not yet, because like it's much more complex. They start to do this first step in general to unlock, like to the entrepreneurs to start to build business in Hong Kong. And if you cover like these cases, of course, I mean, they also has a lot of problems. For example, when they try to cover custody, like they use the old law and say, we have already law. But if you build, for example, NPC of custody like Fireblocks, you can comply with this law. And of course, they need to, in general, go deeper, as you said, and in general, make these regulations that make sense. But like in China, for example, they have a simple story. If you build business, if you work in China, you should be located in China. Why? Because if you change, like make still stolen this money, like they can in general capture you. And is it bad or good? This is another story, But I agree that we are living in an open innovation, and in general, the world is changing super fast. But in general, it is already lawyers who understand it really well, like Gabriel Shapiro, for example, we also invested in his company Metalex, and he's building like Borgs. In general, it's organizations that can be real organization in real life, controlled by the DAO. Like why? Because you can control the DAO of the organization by the DAO. You can, in general, change directors and foundation, and in general, eliminate a lot of risk that people and usual organizations bring to us. So, I mean, we need to go from different sides. But what is really important that it's now, like SEC or like other regulators, they sue, like good people, like, and they're super like famous people, and a lot of them are good, and in general they would be happy to build in US, they would be happy to comply with the law, but it's no option, like. And there are a lot of scams and stolen money, like all over the world. Yeah, like nothing, like, and that is like a problem. So what I try to say is that do you need some type of protection? First of all, we need to build it by ourselves, by platform like Echo, like Legend, and so on. And in general, make software regulation, because I think the regulator should, in general, help business to grow inside of their countries. That is their like goal, and then protect, like.
Yeah, basically protect your customer, well, your citizens of your country. I totally get what you mean. I do think that compared to Hong Kong, it's quite a different landscape, simply because I feel like Hong Kong has always been, how can I say it, like they're more focused on, hey, this is an industry that's growing, we can gain dominance in this, like let's focus on this. While in Europe, it's more like, okay, this is some new technology, let's wait for it for like, let's say 2 years, and then we'll figure out if we're going to make regulation about it, and we'll discuss it, and everyone's going to have an opinion, everyone's going to lobby, and everything just, gets delayed extremely hard. I remember in 2019 in Europe, for example, or like 2018, 2019, they wanted to ban anonymous stable cryptocurrencies because it was used for money laundering, Bitcoin, etc. They accepted. They wanted to ban Monero, and they wrote a 300-page document just to say, oh, we're not going to ban it because we cannot ban it. And that to me is just so fucking, it's such a waste of time. Like even if you go to the Monero block explorer and you just type in your own address, like it literally tells you, hey, you're an idiot, this is Monero, you cannot see this. So that's a little bit of my issue with Europe, is that the way too slow to adapt. In the moment that they will adapt, it will most likely be because someone with big pockets has been lobbying and has most likely push them against crypto, because it's way easier to attack crypto than to defend it. Well, from a government perspective at least.
I agree with it, but still, I mean, it is some movement, and they're not only bad, like it is some movement.
Yeah.
Regulations start to understand it better, like, and we need in general contribute to it too, like, and help regulators to like show that it's real. And because like when you look on DAO landscape, not a lot of DAOs, like are real DAOs. A lot of them are just like multisigs, like, and but they are positioned as a DAOs, but they can steal money, like, and maybe they should be regulated. And I mean, in general, people use that to, like in their own way. And I mean, we need to like have more clarity here. It's like, like we have L2 bits, like we should have DAO bits, like, and show more like who are real DAOs and where who are not, and should be regular. And if it's just a middleware, like staking middleware, should it be regulated or not? Because it just works as a smart contract, as piece of software, like, but it is a money manager that in general manage your money, and it's regulated, I think, here, because it's in general a lot of risk to users.
Because we were talking about Europe now and about regulation and protecting your users. In Europe now, stablecoins are basically banned if they're not fully one-to-one backed by a US dollar. Do you have any opinion regarding that? Because now Tether has become illegal in the EU because of that.
Yeah, so I don't have any opinion, like I think that you still should, maybe if you are not baked fully by USD dollar, you shouldn't call stablecoin. You can call it yourself a different way. But what I try to say is that, like, if you bring the risk, like to the asset, like you are, and in general, you can manage your money by multisig, all this, or like, then maybe like regulation is a good idea. So if you are like permissionless smart contract on chains that in general like Aave, like a money manager and all the rules are on chain, maybe it shouldn't be regulated, like that's what my opinion here.
Yeah, you make good points. Like there's not much I can say to that. Yeah, I think basically those are all my questions. So maybe it's time to wrap it up. Maybe it's a good question for you, as someone who, to finish it off, as someone who is so well connected as you are, who has been in the trenches for over 10 years. What is your biggest piece of advice today for new people, let's say between 20 and 30? And what are you working on right now? My questions were basically for the new founders today, both investors and builders between 20 and 30. Do you have any advice?
Yeah, I think that what works well for me is consistently like building or delivering or investing. So you need to do the same things like many times, like you need to believe that, okay, so we all believe that crypto will be adopted by billion people. I mean, that is a thesis. Let's build together, like, and some people can work as a community manager, some are developers, some people can allocate capital. But in general, I think that part of for success, it's in general, you're betting on some trend, like, for example, when you live in some country and you see that the situation is bad, the trend is going down, maybe you shouldn't bet and build businesses in this country, like you should in general escape and start to build something somewhere else. And the same is here, you need to bet on some ecosystems that you believe that will work and consistently deliver, and in general hold and think long term, like, and that's what help you and build your reputation by delivering. And I think it's impossible to lose if you will just work in the right direction.
So basically, don't think too much. Just go forward for like 10 years and then just try to make it work.
Yeah, like it's like you try to find an oil in a land, like, and you are like try to like that it is oil there, it is a trend, like, and you just deliver enough for spend enough time, like, and enough power to in general find it, like, and the crypto market was like that in general. When I joined in 2014 until 2016, it was a bear market, like, so I was 2 years in bear market when I joined. But we were excited, like, about this technology. We really believe in it. and we start to build, like we start to like research, we start to like allocate capital. And then like people think, okay, 2017 was a bear market or bull market, and how you're successful, like because it was a bull market. But before it, like it was 3 years of consistently working, like. And I think it's always, like if you want to get something, like it's so many opportunities in our life, like you can learn what you want, but I mean, of course you need to believe in something long term, and I really believe, for example, in Ethereum long term. And I think that I mean, there will be a lot of new projects, like not only DeFi and also like the second generation of DeFi project, like Extend, that in general people will use, a billion of people will use crypto, and it is a lot of things that can be done, and a lot of people can be successful in different roles.
Sounds like pretty sound advice. Is there anything else you would like to share with us?
I mean, like, it was a nice conversation. Really, thank you very much. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you a lot for being the first guest, because I was choking a lot on my words in the beginning. So I appreciate the patience. And yeah, thank you so much, man, for coming on. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.